Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. In this one we have some action figure news. So you can see here I'm on the Loyal Subjects Instagram page and they've posted some new prototype pictures from I guess the next upcoming wave of their BST AXN line. As you can see here, they're saying Buffy, Angel and Avatar coming to Target this April. So there's the Buffy, there's Angel, and here is Aang. Again, it's a prototype. This is not what the final figure is going to look like. It's going to be colored in the end and, look like a finished figure, of course. But it is cool to see them post the sort of grey prototype here of like basically all the pieces, but just sort of uncolored. In the packaging it's going to come in, so realistically they're at the point now where the final product will be what we see here, just completed. So, yeah, there's a few interesting things to go over. We'll discuss and analyze the picture and what we get in the package, and then there's a few interesting answers in the comments on the Instagram post as well. So let's go through a bigger version of the image. So here it is. So it's book 1 Aang. That's what they're showing as the character here, and then the design is clearly book 1 Aang, because you can see here he has the same outfit kind of features as you can see here, and it's not book 3 Aang very clearly. So that's what they're going for. I think a fine choice. You were either going to do the book 1 or book 3 Aang. That was always going to be the figure that they did. They do confirm in the comments that there will be more cast members from Avatar coming. They don't specify who, but they're going to do a few. The one thing I will say again is with this line is that this is sort of a line that features characters from multiple franchises. So if it goes on long enough, we might eventually get into the kind of more sort of obscure cast members, the characters who like maybe haven't seen an action figure ever. But realistically, I think we'll be going very slowly through the characters with this line. This is not going to be a thing where we get like 4 or 5 characters at once or anything like that. It seems more like 2 Avatar figures in this wave. Maybe they'll have 1 in the next wave, that sort of thing. We'll go slowly through the main cast, and we might not even see any of the more minor characters. But anyway, that's just the situation here. This line is different than, say, the Diamond Select line, which is a whole line of Avatar figures, and it's different than what McFarlane are going to be doing, where they're going to be doing Avatar and Korra full lines of characters. But anyway, let's look through this. So what do we get? So we get the figure itself, the staff folded up. Looks like there's a Momo in here as well, which is nice, and then 2 swappable heads or faces. It's hard to tell exactly if it's just the face or the head. It includes the ears, so I don't know, it might just be a full-on swappable head. That might actually be easier for them to do. So sort of neutral expression, maybe a little bit more on the sort of stern side of things, serious face. It looks like very wide open mouth, happy face, and then sort of a more similar one but maybe with more teeth showing. I'm not sure if these 2 on the side here are just a repeat and maybe we can't quite see what the third head sculpt is going to be. So I'm not sure about that. They might do one thing where like maybe one of them has like Avatar state eyes or something like that, and the arrow is like colored white or something like that, but that might not fit with the way the arrows and the hands would look. It's hard to tell exactly, but it does look like these 2 are wide open mouth expressions, but I'm assuming they're going to be somewhat different in the end. Again, it's just a prototype. They might not have finished the sculpting on one of the faces and just wanted to show that there are 3 heads in here. Either way, there's that, and then 2 extra sets of hands. So it looks like you get a right fist, a left sort of straight kind of hand. You have a set of splayed open hands, I suppose, for more airbending poses, and then these look like the holding hands for the staff. So that's pretty cool. It looks like about the only thing missing here is like an air effect part. Maybe there's something behind here, but usually that doesn't tend to be the case. You can see everything in the bubble. But that seems fair enough. It doesn't seem like they did like effect type stuff for some of the other lines. And that's always going to be a thing with like the difference between this being just a line that features Avatar characters rather than a full-on Avatar lineup. So I get why they might not have wanted to put the research into, prototyping and doing, you know, all these different bending effect parts, because they're not going to be doing that many Avatar figures in the grand scheme of things. Because again, they're doing Buffy, they're doing Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, not just Avatar. Articulation wise, let's go through this, how the figure actually looks. As far as I remember, this is a smaller size of figure than the Diamond Selects. I think it's either 4 or 5 inch, or might be somewhere in between, but it's not the 6 inch or 7 inch scale that the McFarlane and Diamond Select stuff is. So it's a smaller figure, but straight away, double jointed elbows. Like Diamond Select, it's not that hard to do. Why do you have such a problem with it? This figure, even though it's smaller, has double jointed elbows. I don't get what the problem is. So that's cool. We can't see the shoulders, but it looks like there's going to be some sort of shoulder motion. I did look up reviews for, I think, the first wave of Best Action, and it looks like they have like relatively solid shoulders. And they talk, I think, in the comments, which I'll get to in a second, about they've added some articulation to this second wave. So that's cool. Because the hands are swappable, there's obviously a wrist swivel. And then because of the way you can see the peg and then the hand, it obviously has a kind of, again, a kind of back and forth, so the hand motion. So that's perfectly fine. That's the articulation you expect. It looks like there's a waist swivel here, maybe some kind of rocking style action as well. So that seems pretty solid. The hip area here, I guess, is going to be sort of like it can go out and up and down. The one thing I'd maybe say here is, like, I wonder how this works with regards to, like, if you just want to move the foot like up, because of the way this is orientated, when you move it up, does it turn the foot to the side as well, or can it just go straight up? That depends just on how they orientate all of this, but otherwise it seems actually pretty good. It looks like double jointed knees as well. If they're doing double jointed elbows, I don't see why they wouldn't do double jointed knees. The knee cap looks like it's a separate piece, which again would suggest double jointed knees. And then it looks like there's some form of ankle articulation, which is perfectly fine. So yeah, looks very, very solid. The one thing with the Book 1 Aang design, though, is this section of his outfit up here. The orange kind of bit that sort of drapes over the yellow bit. On the Diamond Select figure, they made this out of a way too hard material. And so what would happen is that if you tried to move the hand, either it got stopped by this material because this just wouldn't move that much, or if you forced it, the whole piece, you had to move the whole piece because this was so rigid it didn't kind of flex. I hope that's made of a pretty nicely flexible material, and that they've put sort of cuts in it so that the hand can actually move. That's one thing I really do want to see. I hope they have the materials right on that so that it actually works as an action figure. Because you don't want to, like, basically not have Aang able to, like, move his hands up, say, here out to the side. Just because he has this accurate piece here. Hopefully they do that. Again, they have it sort of open in the middle, so that maybe gives you a little bit of hope, but we have to wait and see in the end what it is. Again, the only final thing would be just that maybe it's just the angle of this picture, but it perhaps doesn't look like Aang has much of a neck. But again, it's a prototype. I don't know the exact details on that, what way they have the articulation done. Is it just to fit it in this bubble that it's like that? Just because you can see here that, like, Aang's neck, you know, he has it comes up over the kind of collar bit here, whereas it seems a little bit compressed here. That's maybe one thing to maybe be slightly concerned about, but overall, it looks really, really solid, and I'd be very excited to see them do more of these in this line. So let's come over here to some of the questions. Yeah, this one is this from McFarlane Toys? That's someone not getting the different companies. Here we go. So they talk about they have good articulation on their figures. Someone asks, can we get bicep swivel as well as torso? Please and thank you. And they note that we added it. So I'm guessing the first wave of figures didn't have bicep swivel. So that is basically a cut here, basically under the shoulder, basically, so that the whole arm can move side to side. So that is good. That is good. That adds to the arm articulation that they've added it, and you can sort of see that there's some form of torso articulation, which I guess would include a swivel. So someone else asks, Will we see the rest of the cast? Will there be more Cowboy Bebop figures? Yes and yes. So yes to both. So there's gonna be more Cowboy Bebop and there's gonna be more Avatar. So that's good. Someone asked availability outside of the US. So this appeals to me. They are going to be available outside of the US, and I think there's another question about that later on. Release date for Aang, April for Target for America. I think it is they are exclusive to Target in America. They say they'll have info on Canadian availability in a month, which is interesting. Okay, someone asked about Buffy figures. Okay, what about in the UK? And they note that they're working with a new UK distributor called Click UK, and I guess they'll have information on that coming up. So that's nice to see that they're aware that they're not particularly available in the UK, and they're trying to fix that. So that's all cool. There's about, I suppose, 2 months until release, at least American release, and we'll see about the rest. And I think that's cool. It's not a huge wave. It's just one Aang figure right now, and I guess they have more coming on the way for the future waves. This seems pretty solid, and I'm glad that they're doing this. This looks like, in some ways, it's a better action figure than the Diamond Select. In some ways, maybe not as much, but I think these are typically cheaper than Diamond Select figures, and it's at a smaller scale. So you have your expectations in the right place for the type of figure that it is. But like a lot of people, I think everyone is waiting to see what McFarlane Toys have to show off for Avatar and Korra. The fact that they're doing both shows is a huge positive, and I think people expect the most from them in terms of the sculpt, articulation, and accessories in terms of what they do. And in terms of hitting the main cast members as quickly as possible, hopefully they'll be the ones to do as many figures as possible. So yeah, hopefully we'll hear news about the McFarlane stuff over the coming weeks and months, because I think they said those figures will be coming out this year, so we'll have to hear something about them soon. But yeah, for now it's just this one Aang from Loyal Subjects Best Action line. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this prototype of the Aang. How do you think this looks? How do you think this shapes up against the Diamond Select Aangs that we've seen? Are you excited for this, or where do you stand on just the action figures that are going to be coming out? But yeah, that's been my thoughts on this. In the comments, let me know. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.